Hi Inception fans! I decided to make a video, a kind of a tutorial that shows you the rules, how the game plays. I also uploaded a gameplay video, a full gameplay video which doesn't explain the rules. Maybe you want to watch it after this video. I assume you know the movie Inception. The game is based on the movie Inception. I won't go into detail about the movie. I just hope you still remember the important parts, the important story parts. This is the basic setup for the game. We have our 5 levels. The movie starts in reality, or what most people think is reality. Then they go into the first dream of Fisher, and then go in the dream within a dream, and the next dream within a dream. And the last level number 0 here, is the limbo. When someone dies in these other levels, they end up in limbo and might be saved or not. So these are the 5 levels and kind of the storyline. These are the 6 characters, the 6 main characters, and the stewardess, which is kind of not an actual, the card is not used in the game, it's just a fluff, because she brings all of them back. She's in the plane. We have a team deck. This is the main deck you draw from, with all your action cards. And there's also a nice little help card which shows the turn order and some calculations that happen, and a reminder card for some increases that happen in the game, like +1, +2, +3, and first attempt failed. I just put them aside. The cards beside the level draw deck are the goal cards. They're just for informational purposes and tell you what goal to achieve on each level. Okay? I'll focus on this part for the explanation. So let's have a look at the character cards first. As you can see, we start the game with 3 characters in level 4, which is Sato, Cobb, and Arthur. Just like in the movie, they start there. And the other cards are out of the game for the moment. The other characters, Yusuf, Ariadne, and Eames, they have to be recruited first, which is one of the level goals of level 4. A character card looks like this. Let's have a look at Cobb. They have 4 sides. They have a healthy side, a strong side, and a weak side. And the side here in black and white, which is inactive, which is kind of dead. When a character dies in a dream, it ends up in limbo. So this character should be placed in limbo. We have different stats. The red stat on the top is the strength, the physical strength, and the blue one is what I call the convince value. So it's how good are you at convincing people, which is mainly used for the Inceptions on Fisher. And you see when turning the cards, the stats increase or decrease accordingly. And of course in limbo there are no stats. And each character has a special ability which is only active in a specific health state. So strong, if Cobb is strong, as a reaction, the green R is for reaction, he can turn the card to healthy to draw 2 cards. This is how this reads. Each character has a different ability. Ariadne is better at convincing, Eames is better at shooting. Yeah. In the team deck you find a lot of different cards. This is your hand, your action cards. And there are the easy cards that just show a headline and some kind of action. You discard them and just perform the action. There are also weapon cards. Each character can have one weapon card attached, like this, and it adds to his strength value. So this has a strength of 6. And there are reaction cards. Reaction cards always show these green R. They can play it as a reaction to an event, and in this case add 2 strength, or in this case add 2 to your convince value. And there are also these mean flashback cards, which is Cobb having his flashbacks about Maul and her death. And if you draw them, they have to be immediately attached to Cobb, and they reduce his stats. In the level decks, there are the event cards, and there are mainly, I'd say, 4 different kinds. First are event cards. You just draw them, read the text, and carry out whatever it says. Then there are attack cards, which you need attack with a certain strength, a specific character, and you need to have the same strength or higher to defeat the attack. I'll explain that later. There are the Inception cards, where you really, perform the Inception on Fisher, which is based on your convince value, how good you are at convincing. And in level 3, 2, and 1, there also is a kick card, which is one of the level goals, to find the kick card. This is the preparation for the kick, as you can see on the picture. And you need the kick and an active character in this level at the end of the game to return back to reality. Okay, this is how the game actually plays. The game plays in a certain number of turns, and each turn has different steps. The first step is you draw 2 cards. In your hand is here at the moment, okay? If I ever draw this is not prepared, a flashback card, it has to be attached immediately to Cobb because he's having a flashback. And now his convince value is reduced by 1. So let's keep it there. You start the game with 3 cards in your hand, and at the beginning of your turn you will draw 2 cards from your team deck. Okay, next step is you can play cards, and there are different ways you can play your cards. You can play as many cards as you want to, and first thing you can do, you can attach weapons. When you got weapons like the grenade launcher here, you can just say, okay, I want to attach this weapon to Arthur, and I place it underneath, or like this, whatever you prefer. Each character can only have 1 weapon attached, and you can discard a weapon if you find a better one. Like, let's say Sato had the gun attached, which gives him +1, and I find the grenade launcher. I just discard the gun and add the grenade launcher like this. Then you can play cards just for the event. Let me just find one, an easy one. Okay, that's an easy one. Cobb's kids say draw 3 cards, discard 1, keep the other 2. That's an easy one. You just draw 3 cards. You have to attach flashbacks. You discard 1 like this one and keep the other one. There is also a small stack of cards, a display of cards, which is called the Convince display, where you can play cards too from your hand. And the only thing that matters is this number on the bottom. It's blue, it's a Convince value, but it's not used immediately. You just start your Convince stack, let's say over here, and I say I add this card, and then I add whatever, this card, and let's say this card, okay? This is the Convince display. This is used later when convincing, and the maximum you can place there is 3 cards in your draw phase. So if there are any 3 cards there, you can no longer place more. but there will be methods and other cards that allow you to place more cards in the convince display. Like this reaction card. It's a reaction when convincing. If there are less than 5 cards in the convince display, like now, add 1 card from your hand to the convince display. So it can go up to 5, but in a regular turn, 3 is the limit. However, when you played your cards, as many as you want to, you have to discard down to 5 cards. So in this case, discard a card, or maybe more helpful, attach another card, another weapon to a character. After that, you draw a card from the current level you're playing in. And let's have a look what's in there. It's Yusuf's Dream Room. Let me show that to you. Hope you can see this. Okay. And it says draw 2 cards from the team deck, then draw new event card. So this is fine. We had a dream in Yusuf's Dream Room. I draw... Oh wait, let's not put that. Okay. I draw 2 more cards. Oh wait, I discarded to... I had it like this. I had 5 cards. I draw 2 more. I have 5 cards in my hand. Okay, and the cards also says then draw a new event card. So I draw a new event card. And this is an attack. Attacks look like this. It's they show an attack value, a strength value of 9, which has to be reached or beaten. It shows a priority list, which character is attacked, and it shows what happens if you fail to defeat the attack. In this case, the character is turned 1 health state down from healthy to weak or from strong to healthy, and the card goes back under the event deck, and you have to discard a card from your hand. The effects are very different on each card. Some go back under the stack, some are returned, some steal weapons, whatever. So I have a look at the priority line. It says first to attack is Ariadne. Ariadne is not in play, so we look who's next. Eames is not in play. Who is next? Cobb. So Cobb is here, Cobb will be attacked. And now Cobb needs to have a strength of 9. At the moment he has strength 3, minus 1 is 2. The only thing I can do, there are several things I can do. First is I can have a look if I've got reaction cards. And I have a reaction card that says explosion, reaction when attacked, ignore attack priority. Choose any active character on attack level as target. So I play this card as a reaction, and I say, okay, my target is now Arthur, because he has strength 5, but we still need strength 9. There are several reaction cards that give additional strength as a reaction, but in addition to that, you can discard any card from your hand without using its effect or whatever to add 1 to the strength. So strength is 5, I discard 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, 4 additional cards. That increases the strength to 9, 5 plus 4, so he defeated the attack is discarded. He survived. If he hadn't survived, he would be turned to weak. I would have to discard a card, and the attack would return later because I would have to put it under the draw pile. Okay, this is one turn. On next turn, you draw 2 cards again. You decide, oh, that's a nice card. Reaction when attacked, ignore the attack, but place the card under the draw pile, so it will return. We've got a first aid card which heals a character. And so let me say, I don't want to play anything. I just want to keep them in my hand as a reaction for whatever, because no one needs to be healed at the moment. So let's say I just skip the whole play card step. I discard down to 5. I only have 4, so I don't have to discard. And I draw the next event card. This is Recruit Yusuf. As I mentioned, the other 3 characters are out of the game at the beginning. You have to recruit them. And to recruit them, maybe I can show this to you. You have to convince them. And it says you need a convince value of 13. And this is done by all the characters together. They convince together. So you count all the convince values, which is 1, which is 4 minus 2, so 2. So we have a total of 3, plus 2 is 5. This is all we have at the moment. But I can also add cards from my convince display. I just discard them, and this is how, and use the numbers on the bottom, and this is how I can increase the convince value. So what did we have? We had 3, 5, and I discard this for plus 2 is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is still not enough, but I also have a reaction card here. And the reaction card says reaction when convincing plus 2 to your C value, and I discard it, and then we are at 13. And we needed a convince value of 13. So Yusuf joins the game, wherever he is here. This is how you convince. You cannot discard cards just to increase your convince value, like you can increase the strength value, but that is what the convince value is for. So your choices are, do I keep cards to increase my strength, to be on the safe side and have a reaction? Do I put cards in the convince display just in case I have to convince someone, and the whole Inceptions of Fisher are based on convincing, and some other stuff like Maul, Cobb's wife will show up. This is basically how the round and the game works. Okay, let's have a quick look at the characters again. Each character has a special ability except for Sato. His ability is, if he is inactive, he is lost in limbo. So he will end up in limbo, and you will have to convince him to come back with you. Without that, you will not be able to win the game. This is one of the win conditions, because Sato promised Cobb he guaranteed him a safe return to his family, and without Sato this wouldn't happen. So you have to find him in limbo and convince him to come back. Arthur's ability, when he is strong, is turn as a reaction, turn his card to healthy, and therefore he can ignore attack priority. Like we did just before, he can redirect an attack to another character. Cobb, on his strong side, can as a reaction turn his card to healthy and draw 2 cards. This is very important. All the abilities except for Eames can be used anytime within the game, even within calculating costs. This is important, calculating not costs, strength or convince values. Let's say I'm calculating convince values. He has a convince of 5. I already added this to my convince value. Then I can draw the card. It is still a plus 5 because I already added it, and I can draw more cards. Maybe it's a reaction card that adds more convince. Okay, Ariadne, when she's strong, she has to turn her card twice to get plus 2 to her convince value, or the convince value of the whole team convincing. Very powerful but dangerous, because she's weak, and when she's weak and loses fight again, she is inactive and lost and placed in limbo. Yusuf can decrease his health state from strong to healthy to increase another health state of another character. Like Eames, if Eames is weak, he can turn him to healthy, or if Eames is healthy, he can turn him to strong. So this is his special ability as a reaction: turn himself down 1 level and turn another character 1 level up. Eames special ability is available when he is weak. This is the only ability that cannot be done anytime, but only in your playing phase, in the phase where you play your cards. And if he has a weapon of strength 2 or more attached, he can discard the weapon to turn him to healthy. These are the special abilities. I just wanted to show you an example of how to read a card like this Inception card of level 2, the hotel level. You have to convince Fisher with a convince value of 17. You remember all the characters in this level convince together, add their values. You can add the values of the convince display plus any reaction cards. And if you fail, the red symbol is a fail, the card goes back under the draw pile where it came from, and plus C plus 1 for the next attempt. So the convince value is increased by 1 to 18. This is what this help card is for. You just place it down somewhere to remember this is a +1 or a +2 or a +3. So the more often you fail, the more difficult it will get. If you manage to convince him, the tick in the green circle, the second Inception is successful. A similar card is Sato. I told you Sato is lost in limbo and you have to find him, and you have to convince Sato to come back with you with a convince level of 9. If you manage to turn Sato back to his weak side, so he is active again. And if you fail, this card goes back on the bottom of the deck. Okay, this is how a game in progress looks like. Maybe, let's say, near the end of the game, we already arrived at level 1. And these are the level decks, these are the goal cards, these are the discard piles, and these are, well, character and event cards. So we start at level 4, as I showed you, and the main goal of level 4 is to recruit the 3 additional characters, Ariadne, Yusuf and Eames, and to sedate Fisher. As soon as you achieved these goals, you can move all your characters down to the next level. You will never draw cards from the previous level. Once you move down the previous levels, you never draw cards from the event decks. Okay, so the next events you draw are from the level where your characters are in. The stewardess is left back there. She's the one on the plane that brings back, that wakes up the crew in the end of the game. On level 3, which is the level with the van chase and the taxi chase and the van falling slowly from the bridge, you have to prepare the kick. You might remember there is the final kick on each level. They have to perform the synchronized kick to wake up everyone at one time. And you have to find this card. This card is hidden somewhere here. As soon as you found it, you can place it in the level, and you found the kick, you prepared the kick, and of course you have to do your Inception on Fisher, which is a convince attempt, which is not very easy. As soon as you achieve these goals, you can move your characters down to the next level, but you should leave at least one character behind to activate the kick at the end of the game. Without a character, this kick is useless at the end of the game, so there should be one. The next level is the hotel level with the zero gravity fights. Your goal is pretty much the same. You have to find the kick, you have to prepare the kick, and do the Inception on Fisher. Then you can move down and again leave a character on the previous level. In the lower levels, there are also cards that affect the previous levels. So in this deck there will also be attack cards for level 3. So while they are fighting in the hotel, and you might remember there's this whole chase with the van, Yusuf might be attacked up there. So you also have to protect him and make sure he doesn't die. And if you're down on level 1, there are attack cards for both of these levels included. So you have to watch all the characters, and of course when you're down here, there are a lot of attacks up here and almost none attacks in Limbo. So take care of your characters. In the fortress level, which is the snow level, you have to find the kick, you have to prepare the kick, and you have to do the final Inception on Fisher. You got 2 attempts. If you fail the first one, it goes back under the draw pile, and you have to work yourself through the draw pile to find the card again. If you fail the second one, you lose the game. So be prepared. When you achieve these goals, there might be some characters, most probably Sato, and maybe a character that died just in an attack here, like Yusuf in his van, inactive in Limbo. So you have to send down your characters, let's say Ariadne and Cobb, leave someone on the previous level for the kick to activate the kick, and work yourself through this deck. The goals on this level is, first, find Sato and convince him to come back. We already saw this card, so he will be weak. Then there is one card where you have the chance once, only once, to bring back a character back to a previous level. So if only one character has died on a previous level, you can send one back, like Yusuf. Okay, if 2 died, you can stop playing, because there won't be the characters to activate your final kick. And Maul will attack you, Cobb's wife. You have to convince her, and you have to kill her using your strength. These are the main goals in Limbo. And if at the end, when you achieve this, Sato is alive, Cobb is alive, and there is a character and the kick card on each of these levels, they all will activate at the same time the kick, which wakes them up, bring them back to the main level, and they're all happy, and you turn this card around, and let me show you, you win, and Cobb is back with his family again. Have fun with Inception. If you have any further questions, just post them on Board Game Geek, and yeah, have fun. Bye.